agenda is the way I can put it this evening, so hopefully we can be out of here in an hour. Think so? Yeah? Hopefully so. I think our staff would be appreciative of that, and so it is good to be here this evening. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. It is now, I got 5:44, and we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order, and we'll go ahead and ask for the invocation. And so with that, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Butler if you wouldn't mind giving us the invocation. I didn't even see you had.
Yes.
Sorry.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this evening that you've given us, and thank you for all the blessings that you've given us, Lord. Pray that you'll be with our tribal members, Lord, this evening. I pray that you'll be with all those who are in mourning. Pray that you'll be with our veterans and those who are in service, Lord. Pray that you'll be with this meeting. I pray that everything go according to your will. Pray and ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name.
Thank you for that, Councilwoman Butler. So with that, we'll go ahead and do the roll call.
Misty Nuttall.
She is excused.
Jordan Canujo.
Here.
George Gardapi here. Carol Chapman.
Vice President Canujo,
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear anybody other than you, and you are real faint.
Can you hear?
And
how's this?
That's better right
testing,
there, but I did
testing.
not hear anybody else on anything.
Carol Chapman, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Cynthia Butler.
Here.
Donna Hare.
Tita Koo.
Gene Evans.
Here.
Sammy Kimball.
Here.
All right. We do have a quorum, so we'll move on to item number 3, which is approval of agenda. I know we have some changes to our agenda, so I'll turn it over to Secretary Gardapi.
Okay, the changes I have are we are going to take, under new business, we're going to take 2A, approval of 1007-121 Human Resources Budget Mod number 1 off of our list. And then we are going to add a number 3, discussion interaction on tax consultant contract. And those are the changes that I know of.
Thank you very much, Secretary Gardapi. Council, any other additions or revisions to the agenda? And if not, do I have a motion to approve with changes?
I'll make a motion to approve with changes.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Secretary Gardapi. No other discussions. Call for the vote, please.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman.
Treasurer Chapman, you're on mute.
Yes.
Cynthia Butler.
Yes.
Donna Hare. Gene Evans.
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to item number 4, which is Pawnee Business Council travel requests and reports. Council, any travel requests or reports at this time? Councilwoman here.
No, Edie. So let me find my notes here. I attended Treaty Day down at the state capitol. It was presented by Senator Mary Boren, and I think she's from the Norman area. And so they invited, they wanted all the tribal leaders there to do a treaty day, but it was on this during the same time as self-governance and some other meetings, so they didn't get a lot of tribal leaders who wanted to be there. So they basically made us the planning committee for the other for the treaty day that they want to go ahead and develop. And so the reason why Mary Boren wanted to do this treaty day was to gain a greater understanding of tribal history in Oklahoma, to recognize tribal relations, and to create a resource for education and awareness. And so there was a graduate student there, and she went through the methodology of it, and I won't go through all of that. And she went through an analysis of it, and came to the conclusion that research on treaties that has been so enlightening, and they really impact, the way that the state of Oklahoma was formed, and some of them may not be in existence now, but most of them probably are. That was my own comment, that last one. This wasn't her presentation, and so I'll continue with her conclusion. And it was to highlight the impact that that tribes, the economic impact that they have socially and geographically. It allowed her to understand the importance of a deeply rooted history in this state and that it has with tribes. And the database that was created as a result of this research will hopefully be used to educate others. Lorinda was with the Cheyenne Arapaho tribe, was very involved with it, as well as Kurt Kickingbird, and Chief Standing Bear was there. Wilson Pipestem was there. And so they took us to, after we had met with in a conference room, they took us over to the Senate to introduce us, and they took us to the state House to introduce us. And when they introduced us, we were very well received. And our representative, Ty Burns, when he heard Pawnee, they just named the tribes that were there. And when he heard Pawnee, I had been looking for him down on the floor, and I hadn't spotted him out yet. And so when he heard Pawnee, he jumped up and started waving. So we got a real good reception from the legislature. And so I hope to continue on with the committee. I think it's really interesting, and there's going to be some good work that comes out of it. That's it.
Sounds good, and appreciate the report on that for the Treaty Day. And I'm thankful that Councilwoman Hare was able to attend that and represent the Pawnee Nation for that as well. Council, any questions regarding her report? All right, thank you very much, Councilwoman Hare, for that report. Council, any other reports or any travel requests? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item of our agenda, which is our new business, item 5, and under new business, we have item 1, which is presentation by Pawnee County Sheriff candidate Sean Price. We have Mr. Price with us this evening, and we're thankful to have him here this evening as well. So with that, we'll turn the floor over to you, Mr. Price. Yes, please. Because we also have our streaming, we stream online as well.
That's why I asked. I didn't know if me just speaking was they were gonna be able to hear or not.
Yep.
Thank y'all for letting me come tonight. For y'all that don't know me, my name is Sean Price. I'm a candidate for Pawnee County Sheriff this year. I put a handout out because I'm gonna try to keep this short, because I know y'all's got a lot of things on your agenda tonight. Some of the stuff I don't get to, you can read over later. Some back history on me. I got 34 years experience in law enforcement, ranging from being a jailer dispatcher for Pawnee County way back when, dispatched for the Highway Patrol, went back to being a deputy, eventually went to work for the Department of Corrections, and recently retired from them just last May as a deputy warden. After I retired, people started coming to me wanting me to run for sheriff, talking about how things were being ran in the sheriff's department, how bad the budget was and everything else. So I started looking into it. What you have in front of you is a lot of the information. Just real quickly, they came in, the previous administration ran the department with about 26 people. They got it up to 44 at one time and increased the salary budget by $300,000, which, as y'all know, this is a poor county. You don't have that kind of money to spend. They did a lot of things for needs instead of wants. Like in the jail, their medical expenses. Medical expenses used to average about $600 a month because they were using local doctors to come in and do the medical services. They went to a privatized contract. That contract was for $17,000 a month, okay? They also did the same thing with their food budget. Food budget was averaging around $5,000 a month. They went to a privatized contract with a food vendor. That contract was for $16,000 a month. Okay? The previous administrations averaged about 80 to 100 inmates at a time in the jail monthly. This administration's averaging 35, but the contracts that they signed for was for 80 to 100 inmates. So you're paying for stuff that you're not even using. Okay? Additionally, they said that the fleet was bad. The fleet wasn't that bad. Mike's cars was only about 2-3 years old, but they got rid of them and they went and bought all these SUVs, and now the ones they bought, most of them not even on the road because they've torn them up. Driving down these county roads, for lack of a better word, like a bunch of teenagers driving around and tearing them up. And I can verify that because I've actually went and talked to the mechanics that's been working on them. And I've seen them sitting in the record yards at the mechanic lots. And they're sitting there because they don't have the money to pay to get them fixed because they've mishandled their budget so bad. When this current administration came in, they was talking about bringing you a better brand of law enforcement. And they were going to do it by buying all this equipment and new cars and everything. The previous administrations averaged 185 to 200 felony cases a year. This administration averages 32 felony cases a year. And that's evidence of things I've been told by people, which is they're not responding to calls, they're not following up on investigations. If you're not responding, not following up, you're not arresting nobody. That's why you're down to 35 inmates a month instead of 80 to 100. I'm sure that they would like to think that just because they came into office that crime stopped and it went down 88% overnight just because they got elected, but I don't think that probably happened. I think it's probably evidence of the fact that they're not doing their job. Like I said, I'm trying to make this quick, so I'm kind of zipping through here, and I'm getting lost on where I'm at. Basically, if I get elected sheriff, we're going to go back to having a department that we can have pride in, that you guys can depend upon. Another big thing is working with the other agencies. The current sheriff's department doesn't work with any of the other county offices. They refuse to talk to them. When I went up getting all this information, every office I went into, it was, Sean, are we going to be able to work together when you get in? And I said, why wouldn't we? And they said, well, this one won't. If we call them, hey, there's a problem with your budget with this account, fix it. They don't want to come up and talk about it. If there's a problem with warrant service, fix it. They don't even want to talk about it. Matter of fact, while I was sitting there talking to the court clerk, one of her ladies come in there and said, they done it again, and threw a piece of paper down. They arrested a guy over the weekend that the warrant on him had been pulled 8 months prior. The case was dismissed 8 months ago. Well, they notified them of it when it happened, but they didn't pull it down in their office. They're not taking care of business, so they're still got things that they think they still have warrants on, and they're arresting people that they shouldn't be arresting. I was just talking to a group the other day. If it's something they don't want to mess with, then they claim it's not their jurisdiction. The scenario I was given was there was a wreck on the highway out near this town. It was over by Merrimack. And somebody called the sheriff's department, and they said, well, that's not our jurisdiction. And I said, well, the road's in Pawnee County, correct? They're like, yeah. And I said, okay. I said, then it is your jurisdiction. It may not be your job to work the accident. That's Highway Patrol's job. But there's no reason you can't go up and show up and see if first aid needs to be rendered, if you need an ambulance called, direct traffic, get the scene secured till the trooper gets there. There's no reason for them to say it's not their jurisdiction. And it's just repeat things like that keep going on. Like I said, I get elected, we're going to go back to having a department that we all work together. My dad was sheriff a few years ago, and him and Mr. Cuno up here, they work together well. I'm already talking with Cleveland PD and Pawnee PD on possibly consolidating our communications into one place, and everybody pitch in for the budget of it, and consolidate that and take some of the burden off of each one of our budgets by consolidating that together. With that, I'll get quiet because I know y'all want to get out of here and you don't want to be here all night, and start taking questions if you have any questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Price. Council, any questions? Councilwoman Hare?
You may have answered this question, but I wanted to know your views on cross-deputization with Pawnee Nation.
I don't have a problem with it. When Dad was in, they actually did cross-deputy, I think, with the chief, and they worked together that way. And I'm going to do it with them. I'm also going to do it with the PDs, because when I first take over, I'm going to be really. I'm sorry, I keep getting away from the mic. For you ladies that are listening on the live stream, I'm going to be really short-handed when I first come in and take over. The people that were coming to me want me to run for office. I kept telling them no. I'm not going to do it. I ain't going to mess with it. I just retired. I'm ready to be retired. And they was like, what's your biggest problem? I said, I can fix the budget. We'll have to eat soup and cook bread ourselves for a while, but I said, we'll get by for a while till we get our budget back under control. I said, my problem is I'm not going to have any staff because they're either part of what's already there that's got to go, or it's going to be people that's upset that their guy didn't win, they're going to quit. So I'm not going to have enough staff. I can't fix things if I'm out taking calls because I don't have any deputies. The two departments told me that if you cross-deputize us, we'll help you cover calls in the county until you get your staff built up. So I'm going to cross-deputize, cross-commission with the two departments there, and then after I meet with the chief here, we'll do the same thing with them so that we can all work together. That's one of the biggest things that keeps coming up is this department here not wanting to work with nobody. One story I've heard of, Cleveland PD got in a pursuit after a guy. It wound up going out of city limits into the county. That's fine. Your pursuit started in your jurisdiction. You're still legal. County showed up and I guess chewed them up one side down the other, said they didn't have authority to be out there. It wasn't their jurisdiction. They was outside their city limits. That's as wrong as right. That's not how the law works. It's just them trying to isolate themselves. Another thing on that paper you'll look at, this current department went and bought an 800 megahertz radio system. Nobody else in Pawnee County works on 800 megahertz. They can't talk to the other departments, and the other departments can't talk to them on it. Who does work on 800 megahertz? Tulsa, where they've been doing their private security gigs in Walmart at Tulsa. They did that for their own convenience, so that way instead of calling the dispatch and saying, hey, this is Walmart security, we've got a shoplifter, we need an officer, they can get on the radio and say, Pawnee County 504 to TPD, I need an officer, have one in custody, and it sounds like it's a big deal. And they don't have to wait on an officer to get there. They did it for their own, just to serve their own goals. It did nothing for this county. Okay? That's something I got to assess when I get back in here because I know Mike spent about $60,000 updating the digital system right before he left. And in doing that, it added more channels to it, and the repeater system was better so that he could let some of the other departments have some more channels, especially Homeland Security, and put everybody on the same radio system. And I'm looking at going back to that when I get in there. So did I answer your question? So I'm sorry, I tend to stray sometimes. I get to talking, I kind of forget where the question started.
I think, oh, that was your question. Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
I just have a comment. Mr. Price, thank you. Thanks for being here tonight. You're the first candidate to be here. I'm glad for that, and I think one of the biggest things that this nation looks for is collaboration and teamwork. We have a small department as well, and it's always really, really important to do those things. Also profiling. You know, I have, as a council person, heard, complaints about profiling within the city of Pawnee, repeated offenders just being harassed and stuff. And I would really like to see that minimized and some fairness be brought. It seems like it's a perpetual thing. It's the same people all the time, and it would be something that we could work collaboratively with our department in ensuring that there's some type of fairness amongst our Native people that are, out and about. And I'm not saying all of them should be let go, but I think that the profiling is one of those things that shouldn't be tolerated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from council? Mr. Price, I do appreciate your time, and yeah, I saw you were on the agenda, so.
If I may, can I say one more thing real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
This come up at the last meeting that I had with some people, and I'm bad about thinking things and not putting them out, just assuming people know what's going on in my head. Another one of the things that I don't think happens that should is things like this. It happens at election time, and then everybody goes off, does their thing, you don't see them again until election time again. When I get in office, at least, I'd like to do it quarterly, but at least maybe biannually. Go around and make sure and come to y'all's meeting, go over and visit Bearmac during their town meeting, go out and visit Westport during their town meeting, Cleveland Rotary Club, and just let them know how the sheriff's department's doing. This is where we're at. This is where we're headed. These are the things we fixed, and these are the problems that we're having right now. You know, it may not all be good, but then that way, everybody stays informed. It's not just every 4 years you wind up talking to the sheriff and being able to ask him questions.
Yeah, appreciate that. So if elected, we will look forward to seeing you again in our meeting. As I was saying too, I saw you on the agenda, so obviously I was going to ask my dad, since my dad's been chief of police. I was like, do you know Sean Price? I said, I know his dad. I've worked with what you just mentioned there. And you're right, he did have a pretty good working relationship with your dad. And I think one of the things with that is just that open communication and that willingness to work together. I think is going to be very important, whether cross-deputized or just working together with an understanding of, you know, we're all serving our community. We all live in this community. We want to make sure this community's taken care of and it's a safe and a great place to live and raise a family. And so I know that's the heart of our Pawnee Nation Police Department, and I know that's the heart that you have as you run for this position, and hopefully, you know, that continues to be the heart for this community as a whole. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for your time, just being here this evening, and good luck on your campaign. And as Councilwoman Kimball said, you're the first person I know of that has visited the council during election to come and address us. So I do appreciate you making that time and that effort to come this evening to address this body. So
Y'all are welcome. I appreciate y'all letting me come out here and take up some of your time. I know all these meetings I go to, everybody's sitting there looking at their watch, you know. Well, we got something extra tonight. We're going to be a little later, you know. So I appreciate y'all putting up with me and giving me the opportunity to come out and talk to y'all.
all right, appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sean. June 18th is the day of election, so to our tribal members who are voting, just please keep that in mind as well. All right. Moving on with the rest of our agenda, we have on here is item number 2, Budget Committee recommendations. First item is approval of 1009 tax budget mod number 1. Treasurer Chapman, are you willing to present on that?
Yes, I am. And I'm wondering did they get the form we're using now?
Yes, I see it in our packet.
It's in the packets. This form here is intended to explain more in detail for the counselors to understand where the money's coming from, and the summary written down, and it's approved by the division director, finance director, and the executive director. And I was just wondering on this first one, if council has any additional, is there anything missing on this that you would like to see added for information that comes to you to put in the packet on this summary? Are there any suggestions for anything else added on this form? Because this is gonna be what we're gonna use from now on and put in the packets.
Treasurer Chapman, Councilman Kimball has a comment.
Okay, yes.
Yes, thank you, Treasurer Chapman. I would like to see, in our budget meeting today, we had a discussion relative to carryover funds, programs that didn't spend all of their funding, having to send it back or having to roll it over. I think that it's my opinion that that's just a poor practice. I'd like to see us spend that money when we have it, rather than make it appear that we didn't need it and maybe lose it. So if we could find a box somewhere in here that speaks to that, if indeed it is carryover funds and a justification for that, I think that would be really helpful. And it makes others more accountable as well. So if it's a carryover fund, if you didn't spend, the money, we need to know why.
Yes, that's a very, very good suggestion, and we can adjust this form as we go along. So for the next one, we'll add that in there because that is really, really crucial. And also, I would think, in addition to carryover funds, we should probably have a box for actual returned funds too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and add that to the form, because those are very important issues. Okay, were there did anybody else catch anything else that they would like
Yes,
put in here?
Treasurer Chapman, Councilwoman Butler has a comment.
Okay, yes.
I don't have a comment about the form. I have a comment about the budget. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
I believe so. I don't think anybody else has any comments.
Yeah, that was all I have. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so my only question is because it says on here on the form, it says that requesting approval to add 38,000 funds for motor fuel to the budget. And then on the budget, it says we'll utilize $38,000 in 2023 carryover funding. So is it motor fuels? Because we have a motor fuels compact that goes to specific things that we would need a resolution to reappropriate that for something else? Or is it true carryover dollars? Is that out of their budget? That's my question.
Okay,
And I can answer that. The paperwork shows it's true carryover funds.
Okay, so that would be an error on the form.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so that if we can change that, because anything that deviates from that compact should be done by resolution, because it specifically states what we utilize that money for, what it's earmarked for. So I just wanted to make that clarification, if it was carryover or if we're going by what this form says. So
Okay, thank you.
yes,
She says carryover.
okay,
Sorry, it's revenue from the 2023
Tax budget.
tax, yeah,
Okay,
right,
that's fine.
from the motor
No,
from motor fuels funds, yes,
motor fuels funds from the money that we get from the compact.
correct.
Then we would need a resolution to appropriate that money for
Okay.
something else, because it's not being used for, what is it, elders, LIHEAP, or whatever the. No, motor fuels has a compact. That
Right.
compact states what it's to be used for. If we deviate from it, we need a resolution to say, council's making this decision to spend this money from motor fuels. So that's my only suggestion for this, and I'm for it, if this is what budget recommends. I'm just saying that if we come from a compact that tells us what to do, we have to do a resolution to say we're moving it somewhere else.
But it's good to know that you know that.
Yes.
So would we, just to make sure we're following the right order, then do we need to have that resolution passed first before we modify the budget? Okay.
To go along with it, yeah. Which should be simple. It should be that we've done it several other times when we had, like Salazar, they moved motor fuels for something else because we had money to cover other things. So it was used, and so there should be past resolutions back in, I don't know, 13 to 15, 2013, 2015, that could be used as a guide.
Okay. So
yes,
with-
that's it.
Sorry, so with that, do we want to go ahead and have a motion to table this item till we get that resolution put together?
Yes, I'll make the motion to table it.
Okay, motion's on the
Till
floor
we
to
get that-
table.
I think Donna wants to talk.
Okay, motion's on the floor to table. Is there a second?
So I have a question. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Vice President Canuho, I know we got it on the floor.
Well,
Okay.
is there a second first before we go? Not a second. Okay, motion fails. Go ahead and
Okay,
have your comment.
I just want to ask a question. So just to be clear, Jennifer, the $38,000 in carryover funding is from motor fuels from last year, revenue from last year, and there's no programs that are going to be, hurt by that, right?
No, and we gave the justification. It showed that even after we pay that 60,000,
I'm looking for it.
that there was over $270,000 still left in revenue. after we
That's
take that
enough
out.
to run our programs that use
Yep.
that funding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
I'm going to assume that it was carryover from the, from education, because I think it's also earmarked for scholarships.
Scholarship,
And so
yep.
it would be, because
Yep.
remember, we had the conversation where the scholarships were taken care of, they didn't have to use that funding, and so that's why we have the carryover, I'm going to assume?
I'm
Yes.
assuming so,
Okay.
but I will
Just making
have that for sure for you from Laura May. She wrote everything out for me, and she wrote all the budgets out for everybody so they could see the breakdown of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Hare?
Yes, normally, I don't agree with passing resolutions that aren't printed and in front of us. But in this situation, I think we need to go ahead and move forward. And it's a very simple resolution that we could go ahead and take care of if we just get a resolution number, go ahead and prove that, and then carry on with business, with the agenda.
Okay, so what you're proposing is go ahead and approve a resolution, the next resolution number for that allocation of
Yes.
38,000.
I hope.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, so
Was
that was,
that your motion?
was that in the form of a motion? Okay,
I'll second that. And I think it's important that Jennifer also share with the tribe as to what we're trying to do with this. I think it's important with this funding.
okay. Before you do, Jennifer.
we gotta vote.
Jamie, what would be the next resolution number for that? 2418.
2418.
So the motion would be is to approve resolution 2418 to allocate $38,000 from the motor fuel revenue. Okay. Councilman Kimball? Or actually, Jennifer?
I just wanted her to share as
Yeah,
to the
okay.
goodness of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is a really good thing. We had been talking, the council, as well as I, about how we're going to look at our tax code and make sure that it's up to 20, well, it's 24, but we'll say 2030 because we need to be to where we are now. So this is specifically what this contract will do. It is going to allow for internal operations. The first 6 months, Mary Mashunka-Shea is going to come in and look at our tax code and see what are we doing, and then what are all the things on the tax code that we're not doing. Then she's going to provide not only operations and policies for that, but SOPs of how to do that. Then she's going to work with the executive office as well as PBC and Taro to see that we're all working together and that we're all collecting the taxes that we need to from everything from construction to business revenue, all the above. For instance, IHS, our partners are here, and there's several things that we're not collecting on them, as well as, the towers for our phone lines, the railroad. There's so many things that we can collect on. So she's going to teach us not only how to do that, but provide a policy and SOP direction on how to do that. Also, she's going to pivot on our tax code. If there's areas that we need to pivot because the code was written a while back, how do we need to update that? She's also going to, and that's just revisions and seeing what we need on that. She's also going to compare it to the organizational chart, making sure that it stands for what our tax code is. And even if it's not where we are now, where is the goal for it to be so that everybody knows what that is? Then she's also going to give updates weekly to myself and the president, and then come monthly to the PBC and provide updates on where she's at with that. And that's just the top of the iceberg. So it's a really great thing.
Yes, thank you for that, Jennifer. Council, any other comments, questions before we vote on this? Okay, call for the vote, please. Actually, hold on, before you call for the vote. Should we have amended the agenda to add that in there? Kind of getting that. I was trying to get us under the hour mark, that's why I was going so fast. Okay,
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda to add resolution
18.
2418.
I second.
Okay. Motion's been made to amend the agenda to add resolution 2418, motor fuel revenue allocation. And a second by Councilman Hare. What item would that be? Would that be under A? Would that just be part of?
We would make it A.
Okay. So that would be part of A under the Budget Committee recommendation. So with that, call for the vote.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
All right, motion carries to amend the agenda. And so with that, previously we had another motion, and that was to approve Resolution 2418. And I thought I had the notes on,
Yeah.
who had the motion?
Donna made the motion and Sammy made the second.
Okay. All right, so with that, call for the vote, please.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
All right, motion carries. And now we are at approval of 1009 tax budget mod number 1.
I'll make the motion to approve the tax budget modification, number 1.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilwoman Butler. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Hare. Call for a vote, please.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much, council. Moving on to item B, approval of 3002 Office on Violence Against Women budget. Treasurer Chapman, floor is yours.
Yes. This one was presented by the Director, Dina Johnson, and it is a new contract funding. And for the next 3 years. And it's retro back to October 23rd, and it's for the next 3 years. The first contract had some carryover, and that had to be spent before we could use this money. But that's what this is a new grant contract for this amount from the Department of Justice out of it's Tiffany's programs. Excuse me, hospital. So on this one, in looking at this kind, I mean, those are good suggestions on the form for that last one. I can see where we can add, contracts, resolutions, that kind of stuff as a check mark on the form too. Now on this one, like on this is a different one. It's opening up a new contract. The carryover will be noted in the form. So is there anything on this one that is a specific question, again, so I can change the form to answer all the questions? Does anybody see anything else on there?
How
amount
about another field where we're asking, is a resolution required, yes or no? And then that
Yes.
resolution number that's tied to it, and then that way we have,
Yes.
crossover as well.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
one, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's good. We'll get this form polished up here. Answer everybody's question, then it won't take so much time. So this amount is for $900,002. So if there are no more, the Budget Committee recommended to approve this for this new contract funding. So if there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve the, but,
I'll second.
okay.
Okay, motion's been made by Treasurer Chapman, seconded by Councilwoman Kimball. No other discussion. Call for the vote, please.
George Gardner, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item C, approval of 4139 Domestic Violence Prevention Program budget. Treasurer Chapman, floor is yours.
Yes. This was also kind of a sister request from Dina Johnson's program. And this budget is to approve year 3 of funding. And each year had been awarded $200,000 a year. So this is adding year 3 into the budget, is what it is. and it is $200,000. And the budget committee, she explained everything to the budget committee, and they recommended to approve it. So are there any questions on that, or anything else, comments to add to questions that might be needed to be added to this form to document?
Council, the floor is open on this one here.
If there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion's been made by Treasurer Chapman. Is there a second? Seconded by,
I go to the budget meeting.
seconded by Councilwoman Kimball.
Yeah, I'm at budget.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote, please.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, Council. Thank you very much, Treasurer Chapman, as well. Moving on to item number 3 of new business, discussion and interaction on tax consultant contract. And who will present on this one?
I think she kind of explained what this was going to be, the contract with Mary Mashunkashay, but I do have a question. Well, actually, not a question, a comment and a recommendation. Because commissions are under the council, I feel like it should be signed by the president instead of the executive
Okay,
director.
sure.
Because it doesn't go down a level.
Okay, yep, I
So-
understand that,
So
correct.
that's my only
Okay.
thing
will
about
do.
this contract. I think it's really good about what we're trying to do here, and I think it's going to benefit our tax commission. So,
Okay.
and I'll make a motion to approve. If
All
you
right,
guys are
motion's
re-
been
if you
made
guys
to
are ready.
approve. Was there a second?
I second.
Oh, okay. Second by Councilwoman Hare. Council, any other discussion on the contract? I did have a couple of things on the one that I have. This is, I don't know if there's been a revised one sent out since then, but under term, it says April 20th. Is that still going to be the date, or do we need to? Okay, that'll need to be
We'll
updated.
update that.
And then under modifications/amendments, I noticed that it starts at number 3, 4, and then goes on down to 14. So we'll need to change the numbering on that. And then under project oversight, on number 2, it says the scope of work of this contract may be amended by action of the executive director. If we're changing the
Oh,
Pawnee
yeah.
or signature down there, should we do the president on that one as well?
yes, we'll do that.
Okay. Those were the only
Okay.
areas that I seen.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
Okay. Here, oh,
I'll amend to add changes.
okay. And Councilwoman Hare is agreeable to that as well with her second. So with that, council, if no other discussion, we'll call for the vote.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Aho.
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Sammy Kimball.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, council. It's going to be very much needed for our nation, and looking forward to this. Moving on to item number 6 of our agenda, open forum. Anybody have any open forum? Jamie, did we have any comments online for open forum? Hearing none. Going once, twice. All right. Moving on to the next to last item, set the next meeting date. I believe that will be I will probably not be able to attend the 21st meeting as well.
I was just going to say, I have a work conference that we're going to, and that's the travel day for us to get there, so I may have to ask to be excused on the 21st.
That's not a real good day for me either.
Well, could we add a week, 28? Can we look at the 28th then?
28th? Yeah,
That's
well,
good.
okay.
Oh,
I think we could still look at the 28th, so we don't have to do business on the 1st. But also, there might be other business that needs to happen. If there's not, then we can always cancel it.
Yeah, I know we have at least one thing we'll need to take care of before the 28th, but we can set the 28th as the date and then set an emergency meeting before then.
I'm open that day.
Yep, 28th, 5:30.
Yeah.
All right. All right, council, last item, adjournment. Do I have a motion to
I'll make a
adjourn?
motion.
Motion by Secretary Gardapi,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Butler. Call for the vote.
George Gardapi, yes. Carol Chapman,
Yes.
Cynthia Butler,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Oh,
Gene Evans,
Yes.
Tammy Kimball.
We are
6:29.
adjourned at 6:29. Thank you very much.